So we actually do not agree on the wide receiver one in this draft. I'll go with my wide receiver one first, and we'll end up with your wide receiver one at the very end of the show. My personal number one receiver is Teto McMillan from Arizona. Just the ideal X receiver at 6'5", 212 pounds. Been incredibly productive across his entire career, honestly. 2,712 receiving yards over the last 2 years. That leads all receivers in the country. 50-50 balls are basically 60-40 balls with him, honestly. He leads the nation with 35 contested catches over the last 2 years, and he caught 62% of his contested targets last year. What I loved Dalton this year especially, he became so dynamic after the catch this past season. He broke 29 tackles after the catch this year. Again, the only one who had more was Luther Burden III, who we just broke down. And Luther Burden III's trump card is his after the catch ability. That is not Tet McMillan's trump card, but yet he was still that good after the catch. Now, the negatives with Tet McMillan, the few I could find were he's not going to be an elite separator, but then again, he's 6'5". He kind of lacks a true top-end speed, I think, at that position. But he still got open on 62% of his targets against single coverage this year. For reference, that's a higher rate than both Travis Hunter and Luther Burden III. He could stand to add a little more weight to his frame as well. He's a little lanky at his height. Like, I've heard the Mike Evans, you make the Mike Evans comments a lot. Mike Evans is the same height as him. He's 20 pounds heavier than Tet McMillan. 7.4% drop rate this year. I was 47th percentile. Had a little bit of an issue with drops this year, but again, that wasn't really an issue his entire career at Arizona, so I'm not really that worried about that. But there's not a lot to dislike in Tet McMillan's game right now. He's this elite size for the position, strong hands to win in 50-50 balls. He displayed a lot more of a yak element this year, and he was really, really good after the catch. He'll never separate at an elite level, but that should not really be expected for a 6'5" receiver either. I think he's a plug and play as a number one X receiver for a team, and I would even consider him as early as number 4 overall for the New England Patriots.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He's a top 10 pick. I think that's where you get to with that. And I think as far as the 40 time goes, I'm not all that concerned with it. Honestly, if he runs a 4.4 or even a low 4.5, I just checked. Mike Evans back in the day ran a 4.53. Yeah. That would be plenty good enough at 6'5", and you mentioned the contested catches. I mean, not just contested catches like jump. I mean, acrobatic, crazy level at times. And we've even seen the clips in practices and stuff of one-handed between the legs and things. I mean, this is a freak, right? This is, and again, you have him 1, I have him 2. There's different reasons for that. Probably reasons that aren't even, because of talent sort of things. Tet's a monster. You mentioned it. I think about Mike Evans. Some think about Drake London.
I was going to say my comp is Drake London.
It's reasonable. You're right. He's thinner than Evans, but the way, especially I saw in the second half of 2023, not just the deep balls and the go balls and things, but when he runs those in-breaking routes, it's so smooth, isn't it? I mean, it's just he's an incredibly smooth mover at that size, and now that you mentioned it, he's added it after the catch. If he's going to be a monster after the catch, you go, well, how do you stop this guy? The only things that I have, really, are sometimes when it comes to breaking it down and running sharp routes, he's a bigger guy. It's not going to be that easy, right? I think there's some of his routes, even those in-breakers that I like, that are a bit rounded off. But you know what? For a guy his size and of his talent level, just get there. I don't care how you do it. So especially this year at Arizona, when he was really the only consistently productive thing on that offense, and everyone knew it was coming, didn't matter, right? It just didn't matter. So I think the release package against press coverage could be a little bit better, and I think that goes into filling out the frame and getting even stronger, because you said he's what now, about 212 right now?
Yeah, 212.
I mean, could you imagine him if he could keep those movement skills somewhere in the low 220s, if he had 10 more pounds on him? I mean, how do you stop that guy? It would end up being like a Mike Evans or what Drake London's about to do to the league with Michael Penix at quarterback. That sort of, like you mentioned, top 10 player in this draft at any position. Classic X receiver with dynamic, acrobatic ability that can do so many things at his size that most other football players just can't do, because they're not that freakish, and they're not that freakish at that size. So no, I think I get it. If you have him number 1, and there's in part, I assume it's in part because Travis Hunter, we don't even know that he'll be playing receiver necessarily.
It's part of it, yeah.
It's a part of it, and Tet's a freak. Like, I get it purely as a receiver.
I think purely as a receiver, he's better than Hunter right now, but I think there's a ceiling argument.
It's extremely close, even though we're flipped on this. McMillan's a freak. You mentioned it. The Patriots at 4, what more could Drake May want?
Right. That the argument I would say is Travis Hunter is a better football player. He'll be higher on my big board. But if you're saying Travis Hunter is only going to play wide receiver in the NFL, he's never going to play corner, I would probably take Teto McMillan over Travis Hunter. Hey, thanks for watching another episode of the PFF College Football Show. Please make sure you guys subscribe to the channel.
Also, subscribe to PFF Plus at subscribe.pff.com for all of the same data and grades that we use in our show, plus fantasy tools, betting tools, and our mock draft simulator.